everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
To start off this podcast, we're going to have a moment of silence to think about all the people in our lives that have impacted us in some way. Wow.
Yes.
Wow. How iconic.
I think that was long enough. Yeah.
Yes.
That is great.
Alrighty.
We're also live streaming this on Instagram.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, so if you're on Instagram.
From the gram.
Yeah.
A couple days ago, I guess.
Then, yeah, go check it out.
And you saw the special sneak peek.
Special sneak peek. If you
Behind the veil, if you will.
4 people.
Yep.
Yes.
The fact that we actually did that moment of silence and we still have all 4 watchers.
It's impressive.
I'm
I'm
impressed.
surprised we didn't scare them all.
I'm surprised they didn't start crying.
Because of the beautiful moment.
Tom Hanks.
In the neighborhood.
Where Tom Hanks just stares you down.
at the camera.
Yeah. Alrighty,
So-
let's just get into it.
Let's get into it.
So
So
who are
right.
you?
So I'm Cameron
Who
Hawkins.
are you?
I am Josh Elliott.
I'm Paul Dower, and this is the Film Nerds Podcast,
November edition.
November edition.
Yeah.
We're coming up on a year.
Coming up on the
Oh my
end.
goodness.
and we're coming up into Oscar.
We've
Yes, we
almost
are.
had our 1-year anniversary.
It's close.
And yeah.
It's getting there. I think like
Is this gonna
the
be
end of February
Yeah.
was our first
Yeah.
one.
So
So
we're getting close.
We're getting close.
We're also in the midst of Oscar season.
Oscar
Dun, dun, dun,
season's
dun.
heating up.
Da-da-da-da. So
things are getting interesting.
Yes.
yeah, we may have a little bit of extra content coming.
Ooh, yes.
So we'll see.
We may even have some awards contenders in this podcast featured.
Ooh.
Could be.
We'll find out.
We'll see. Well, yeah,
We will see.
We will see.
Some definitely know.
All right. Well,
Oh, guys, come on. Last Christmas is definitely going to take Best Picture
yeah,
this
make
year.
it razzle.
What do you guys think?
all right. Well,
Maybe razzy, but hey.
let's just jump right
Hop
into it. Hop into it with
Ho Habit.
JoJo Rabbit.
JoJo Rabbit.
Who wants to summarize?
So, Taika Waititi is a filmmaker that people really like nowadays because he's cool.
He is cool.
He made Thor Ragnarok and Hunt for the Wilder People.
That's the other movie. I keep forgetting what the other movie's called.
So,
And What We Do in the Shadows.
oh my gosh,
Yeah,
how could I forget
absolutely.
that? Yes.
How you fucking forget that?
So, his most recent movie, which is an awards contender this year, is JoJo Rabbit,
Yes.
which is a satire about Nazi Germany. Most people don't seem to realize this is a satire, but it's so
It's
obvious that
very
it is a
obvious
satire.
This historical documentary of JoJo Rabbit
This all happened.
about Hitler youth.
But it takes place towards the end of World War II, and there's this young boy whose name I cannot remember, but he is...
JoJo.
Wait. Sorry, I forgot that JoJo was not a part of his nickname. So,
Okay.
his
Yeah.
name... I thought that was like the full nickname, and I went, wait, no. I'm fucking dumb. Okay. So, his name is JoJo, and he... God, I'm not going to recover from that. Okay, I'll try to, though. He is a hardcore Nazi. He looks up to Hitler, obsesses over him, and then he discovers that his mom is actually hiding a Jewish girl in their attic. And so it's a cute story about him becoming friends with this Jewish girl and learning that maybe his perspective on the war is not quite what he thinks it is, and maybe he shouldn't believe what people tell him.
Yes.
So it's a coming-of-age story about Nazi Germany.
And hate is bad.
Hate is bad.
Yes.
It's a great moral.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yes.
Unless you hate.
Unless you hate. No hate.
Well, hate's too strong of an emotion to waste on something you don't like.
Preach.
But isn't that the only thing? Oh, whatever.
Sorry, I got that quote from Doctor Who. So,
Hawker
so I like this movie quite a bit.
I really liked this movie.
Me too. I enjoyed it.
I really
Yeah.
liked
Had a
it.
good time.
It's a
I thought
fun time.
it was
Fun time.
adorable.
It's really
Yes.
adorable.
Just really responded to it. Actually, like, very emotionally as well. Like, it didn't make me cry, but, like, I really felt it. Like, there's a thing he sets up very subtly with shoes, and when that comes into play at the end, it fucking hit me like a wall.
Oh, yeah, I guess we should
Like,
probably start
yeah.
with a spoiler warning.
Spoiler warning.
For
Oh,
all
yes.
these movies.
Yes, spoilers for all the movies.
Yeah, spoiler for JoJo Rabbit, Terminator
Rabbit.
Dark Fate. Dr. Sleep, Last Christmas, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood.
We got
21
quite a few
Bridges.
movies.
21 Bridges, Queen and Slim, Ford v Ferrari, Harriet, Frozen 2, Klaus, and Knives Out.
Yes.
Anyways, so yes, he does set up this.
Yes, this thing with shoes, and I noticed it before the reason of it being in there.
Right.
So,
yeah.
and I was kind of like, what? I was like, why? Like the whole time, and then I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
When they like show what it is.
Yeah.
So basically, his mom is anti-Nazi. She was like spreading like anti-Nazi propaganda, and she gets caught one day, and she's hung, and he's like walking, and he actually like bumps into her, and it's just her shoes, and just from that image alone, like I think they show it like one wide shot of her hanging, but like
but no
just,
close up.
Yeah,
it's just
oh my god,
horrendous.
Yeah, it was a big oof.
It was really sad.
And like, even though you do get the mom's perspective sometimes, the majority of the movie is told from the perspective of this kid, and so it's horrific when you see it like that. And also, the last time he sees his mom, he doesn't even see her face. He just sees her like putting down a little anti-Nazi note, and then you can just assume she probably got caught
doing it,
doing that exact thing because she's wearing the same outfit even.
Yeah.
Oh. Scarlett Johansson is also so good in this movie.
So good. In this
she
movie.
is really good.
Mm-hmm. That whole thing when she like goes and like pretends to be his dad.
Oh
that
yeah.
whole thing with like the wiping the like chimney stuff on her face. Like just she was really really good in this.
Yeah.
Really, everyone was. I thought.
Yeah. Was
Roman Griffin Davis?
Yeah. He was a really good little actor. I mean, he was really, really, really. He had a wide range of emotions and did it so well. And Thomasin McKenzie, the girl, the Jewish girl. Yeah. Oh my god, I have loved her ever since that movie Leave No Trace came out last year, and she is even better in this. Yeah, all the
Sam Rockwell's hilarious.
Taika Waititi is hilarious.
Taika Waititi as Hitler.
Yeah. And what I love is that everyone manages to. They give such a great mix of animatedness in their performances and actual, like, genuine heartfeltness. Specifically Scarlett Johansson, but everyone, really. I've heard Scarlett Johansson's, like, getting supporting actress buzz. I'd be fine with her being nominated. I don't think she was, like, incredible, but...
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what other competition she has. Yeah. Really. I can't.
She's probably going to get nominated for Marriage Story, though.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Maybe she'll be nominated for both.
Twice. That'd be so weird.
That'd be fun.
I just don't have that much to say other than that I really liked it.
It felt like it's been so long since I've seen it, even though it's been like 2 weeks. But if you want my further thoughts, I wrote a review on it for Media OCU, so go check out Media OCU for an entire review on it. It
also has a very similar style to Moonrise Kingdom.
Yeah.
In terms of like it being told from the perspective of this young Boy Scout. He starts to fall in love with this slightly older brown-haired girl who's very aggressive. Yeah. But it just takes that quirky childhood innocence and it places it amongst this incredibly dark background, but it still has that quirky childhood innocence to it. Yeah. Rebel Wilson's also in this movie. Yeah. She's good.
Yeah. Like the Hitler Youth Camp. Where they just, like, made it into, like, Boy Scout camp. Yeah. That's so funny. Oh, my goodness.
The boys will do this, all, and the girls... stuff up. And
then the girls will... I don't remember.
The girls will do
womanly things.
Basket weaving. Something like that.
And learn how to have children.
Yes.
That was good.
Yeah. This movie's just real good.
It is real good.
You should go check it out.
Check it out.
Go check it out. I mean, is it?
If you can. It's probably gone, but...
It's probably gone in most places. I mean, it's at least gone here.
Yeah.
In OKC.
Just God forbid you play an indie movie for more than one day.
For more than a week.
It'll probably get nominated for stuff, though. At least, like, maybe a few things.
I hope so.
Yeah. I think it will.
And if it does, then definitely go check it out again. But when you do, make sure that you know it's satire.
Yes.
So...
I mean, it's pretty.
I feel like you can tell.
It's pretty obvious.
Well, we would think.
One would think, but no.
So, ratings,
everyone.
Oh yeah, let's get into ratings.
Let's get into ratings.
Cam,
I'm gonna give this one an 8.5. Ooh, really like this movie.
I'm gonna give this an 8.
I'm going to give it a 7.
All right. So that makes the final verdict for JoJo Rabbit a 7.8.
It was good.
It was good.
It was good. It was good. However, the part with the chipmunks.
That's our impression of Paul.
Yeah.
Classic.
Go.
However, the part where Alvin showed up in the third act.
It was good.
I just couldn't do that.
If you ever want to hear my impressions of all the members of this podcast, just ask.
What's your impression of you?
My impression of me? This is my impression of me.
Yeah, just talking.
I go, I liked it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I thought it was good.
It's always like, what did you think, Josh?
Or the I liked it.
I liked it. Yeah. Guys, it's okay.
It's not that bad.
And then my impression of Paul is the ask me what I thought of the movie.
So what did you think, Paul?
It was good. However, I didn't like the part with the or when Paul didn't like a movie, it's
not really.
And Cameron and I have multiple. There's the yes. And then there's the dog shit. And then also, it's a good film.
It's a good film.
Or
good film.
It was very okay.
So okay.
Are we that predictable?
I guess so.
What's next? I lost track of what's happening.
So we're moving on to Cameron's little round.
Moving on? Alright.
And we got Terminator Dark Fate.
Terminator Dark Fate. Alright, so this review might sound like I fucking hate this movie, but I actually don't. There's just two things that really fucking piss me off, and I kind of need to voice them.
Go ahead.
So, the whole Terminator universe is...
Terminatorverse.
The Terminatorverse, if you will, is basically John Connor is the hero. You know, he's the person you gotta protect. And I'm about to get into spoilers. Is that okay, guys?
I don't care.
All right.
I approve.
The first fucking scene of this movie, he dies. It's just so unceremoniously. It's just these like CGI body doubles of Linda Hamilton and Edward Furlong. Ew. And then CGI Arnold walks up and is like, I died, you die, and shoots him with a shotgun. And Linda Hamilton's like, no, my child, and cradles him. And then, yeah, that's literally the start of the movie. So I was like, wow, okay, you're really starting out well.
I'm going
Hunting. Sadly, that's not in the movie.
Damn it.
I was waiting for it the whole time. I was like, maybe the in-credit song, but no. But yeah, so that kind of really bothered me because it's basically just like, yeah, the first two Terminator movies, forget them. You know, they don't really matter. This is what it's been about all along. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I've seen that done before, but it's kind of just like, I don't know. I just feel like it's kind of just shits on the other two and just kind of throws them away. So that didn't really start it out well. But luckily, the movie gets better because basically the plot of this is like, so it's after Judgment Day and we stop Judgment Day, but oh no, you thought we stopped it? No, we want more sequels. So it's not Skynet anymore, it's Legion. And apparently, like, why'd you change it? So they like, in the future, they take over and they're like, yes, we finally killed humans. So they send back this one girl, Grace, played by Mackenzie Davis, and she has to protect this new character, Danny, because you find out later that in this new timeline, she's basically the John Connor character and like leads the resistance, which I'm like, okay. And so like it's just basically about Grace protecting Danny, but then Linda Hamilton comes back and starts killing Terminators because she's like, I've been getting texts from this one phone that says there's a Terminator here, and that's why I go kill it. Who is texting me these things? And then Grace is like, hold up, I will find the IP address, and like takes her phone, and it's like, it's a house somewhere, we gotta go there. And then guess who's at the house? It's Arnold. And apparently this part I was like, what? He was like, yes, I killed John Connor, I learned consciousness and realized they shouldn't have killed him. So he grew a consciousness and is married with a child. And
wait, what?
They didn't do it. She was already with the kid, before. Like, but yeah, like there's like family photos of him like fishing with the kid and stuff. And they go there and they're like, "Hey, we gotta fucking who's the villain?" I'm sorry.
Who's the central antagonist?
Oh yeah, there's the Rev 9, this other Terminator dude that's basically just like the silver looking dude.
Expect a lot of ping. My whole body's a weapon.
My whole body's a weapon. Ching. He's actually kind of cool. He's basically just like the guy from Terminator 2, like who can just like mold his stuff to do stuff. So he's chasing them because he's got to kill Danny because Legion needs to win.
Wasn't he like the goopy ones and Terminator?
The goopy ones and there's two. Yeah, he can split into two.
That's pretty cool.
Which they don't really do anything with that at all. Like I thought they would do like some stuff of like them like fighting like together. But they really don't. So I'm just like, okay, whatever. What was the point of him? But so yeah, basically they gotta fight, and protect Danny. And then in the end, this is another part that really bothered me. Oh no. Yeah. So basically, Grace, the new character in this, I love Mackenzie Davis. I think she's a great actress. I've always liked her since Blade Runner and Tully, and she's been in some other movies. And she was like the one actress in this. And I was like, yes, please. Like, if you're gonna do like more movies with her, do more movies with her. But in the third act, they just make her so weak, and they have to make it where Arnold has to come in and help her. And I was like, fuck you. She doesn't need help. You know, Arnold does not need to be in the movie at all. Then they'd be like, hey, the Terminator, I'm back. You know, I'm just like, just get out, please. And they make her, she fucking dies in the end, of course. And then, but she's like, take my power source. And then they take her power source, and then Arnold's like, I will use it to destroy this man. And then he blows up the Terminator, and then Danny and Sarah Connor are like, they made the sacrifice. And then they like cry, and then Danny and Sarah go find Grace in their timeline as a little girl, and Danny's like, I will train, and she will not die. And they drive off into the sunset, and that's the film. And it's, other than the parts that really piss me off, it's really fun. It's got good action, the acting's really nice, and it gets a 6.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a 6.
Yeah.
Yep.
Alright, next. Another Cameron review.
Cameron Solo.
We got Dr. Sleep.
Dr. Sleep. Alright, this movie, the highly...
Doctor.
Only the real ones will get that joke. So Dr. Sleep, the highly anticipated Shining sequel, if you will, directed by Mr. Flanagan, who a lot of people think is one of the gods in horror right now, which he is. He's a great man. I like that man.
Yes.
Follow him on Twitter. He's a pretty funny man. But yes.
I'm going to do that now.
I was very, very excited to see this movie because I love the cast, and I thought the trailers were pretty cool. I liked the first one more than the second one. And so I went to this like early access screening thing they did for it, and it was very good. What I like about it is like it exists enough on its own, and like once it gets to using like the Shining stuff, it feels earned. Because like all the stuff like where they actually go back to the hotel, that's only really in like the last 30 minutes of the movie. So like I was really happy with that because I was nervous that they were just gonna be like, we're Shining, you know, we have to only can exist on the Shining stuff, but. They tell a really interesting story with, the Danny Torrance is the lead in this one, and
wow.
You know he's an alcoholic and he's struggling because his father tried to kill him when he was a kid, and basically
understandably,
yeah, he still occasionally makes connections with other people that has the Shining. And then one day he makes a connection with this girl named Abra. Yes, I remember. Yes,
hey,
abracadabra, and so. They start talking, and then eventually he finds out that these like goons, led by Rebecca Ferguson with her hat, want to her character's name is literally Rose the Hat.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
So basically, Rose the Hat and her goons are like going around killing people that have the Shining. And basically, when they kill them, they like this like mist comes out, and they like suck up the mist, and it's like how they can like stay immortal, basically.
Oh.
So like that's basically what their goal is. There's this really like horrifying scene with like Jacob Tremblay is in it for like one scene.
Oh
yeah, and they just like hold him down and just brutally stab him for like 5 minutes. And it's just him like screaming and then like sucking up his like mist and stuff. It's really unsettling. And I was like, wow, okay.
Damn.
But it really makes you hate the villains, So, Danny eventually finds Abra and is like, we have to protect you. They will not get you. And then they go to the Overlook and hijinks ensue. And, it's good. Ewan McGregor's great. The little girl who plays Abra was fantastic. And this is her first movie.
Oh,
so I was like, yes. We like that. We like debuts.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do you have any idea why this movie bombed?
Why? I don't know.
It bombed?
Yeah, it really didn't do good.
Didn't Midway beat it in the weekend?
Yeah. Fucking
Which
Midway.
I never saw any advertising for it.
I saw like one trailer at one movie, and that was it. But yeah, it got its ass kicked by Midway, which maybe it was the length.
Is it 2.5 hours?
It's like 2:32.
Well, is it rated R?
It's rated R.
Yeah,
it's 2:32.
That's also gonna take it.
And maybe also I thought about this. Maybe the title. Because I feel like just random goons, Dr. Sleep, they're not gonna make the connection that's connected to The Shining,
Yeah.
I mean, I thought there was enough marketing for it. I thought, but I expected it to at least do okay. But
because when you have an R-rated 2.5 hour long movie called It Chapter 2, it makes a lot more sense than an R-rated 2.5 hour long movie called Dr. Sleep.
Yeah. But yeah, it's pretty good. Really, my only flaws is I thought for a little bit Rebecca Ferguson's Rose the Hat character. I thought she was a little bit cornball. It took me a little bit to get into it, but I eventually I thought they were just gonna be the typical haha, we're evil goons. But they actually spend a lot of time with them and really give them motivation. So that kind of took that problem away, if you will. And then the ending's a little. I don't really know how I feel about it, and I kind of don't want to spoil it.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
But it's kind of just I don't know if that was as powerful as a send off as it could have been.
Does Danny die?
Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Oh. And I'm kind of just I don't really know if that's really. I don't know. It just kind of didn't really sit that well with me. But other than that, it's a really good movie. It's never slow. It's constantly engaging. So I would give it an 8.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Solid. That is an 8 out of 10.
An 8 out of 10.
What's next?
Next up is Last Christmas.
I gave you my heart and my movies.
Quite literally.
Don't spoil it.
Oh yeah, sorry. I almost spoiled it for you guys. All right.
Oh, boy.
Last Christmas, the 2019 Christmas rom-com that was heavily anticipated by everyone in the world, and this is Emilia Clarke's follow-up to Game of Thrones.
Quite the follow-up.
Yeah, so basically this movie's about this girl named Kate, and she's just struggling, it's just problems are happening. And this it's just life is not working for her, and she's just really she's stressed out at work, and she's always late and always getting fired.
Sorry, I just thought so. The main character is Kate, and she's a millennial, so things are bad for her.
Yeah,
she has to work.
She's struggling at work, but then this random goon played by Henry Golding shows up, and is hey, look at that bird there. And she's like, what is that? And she's looks at it, and the bird shits on her. And then
it's good luck.
It's good luck getting shit on by a bird. And she's like, you're weird, see ya, and closes the door. But then this man keeps popping up, and they eventually form a relationship. And I thought before this movie, I was there's something they could do with this, but they're not that stupid, right? So I was they're not going to do that. And throughout the whole movie, I was kind of I had it in the back of my head that what I was thinking could happen, but I was no, there's no way. But then we get to the third act, and she actually goes into his apartment, and there's a guy there turned his back to her, and you think it's him because he has the jacket on, but it's actually another man. And she's like, hey, this is his apartment, what are you doing? And she's like, no, this has been vacant for a year. And she's like, what do you mean? It's oh yeah, the owner of this died about a year ago. Think last Christmas. Come to find out, the guy, Tom, got hit by a bus last Christmas, and the same night, Emilia Clarke's character needed a heart transplant. So, he gave her his heart.
'Cause last Christmas I gave you my heart.
That's awful. That is horrendous. Oh my god. And up to that point, the movie actually wasn't that bad. Her and Henry Golding are actually really cute together, and I was oh, this is a really sweet romance. And they kind of try and bring it around in a somewhat good message that, like, sometimes you need to make yourself better and you can't rely on other people to make you better. You have to do it for yourself. Which I was like, okay, but, like, the way of kind of going about it just feels like I just wasted my time. Because, like, and plus there's a tons of, like, logic errors throughout the movie because, like, there's times where she's with people, there's people around her, and she's talking to him.
And no one's
and
like,
no one
hey,
does
what are you
anything.
doing?
Like, okay, but the one part, like, that part I'm kind of, like, that one I'm kind of like, okay, that can kind of be forgiven. But the one part that really just breaks the logic, he like, takes her into his apartment one time. How did she get in there? Did she break in?
Was it, like empty? Because if it's been vacant for a year, you'd have to, like, clear out the stuff.
No, there was, like, stuff in there still. Like, and he just, like, goes up and opens the door and, like, lets her in. And she stays there, like, for a night. So I'm like, how did she get in? But I was just like, whatever. I mean, but it's just... Yeah, so the plot twist is kind of garbage. But
Damn.
Emilia Clarke is just so damn charming and great in it that it just really upsets me that they had to do her dirty like that.
Yeah.
With that plot twist. So I'm just going to give this one a 5.
Yeah.
Twist is garbage, but Emilia Clarke is great. And up until the twist, it's not awful.
Okay.
Yeah.
It looked cute, but
it is
not...
cute, but it's just like, you know, I do like rom-coms, but oh boy.
All
What's up
right,
next?
Next is A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood.
Oh wow, that's the one we all saw.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood. A beautiful day for a neighbor. Be mine.
Would you
Be mine.
It's a neighborly day in this
beauty wood.
A neighborly day
For a neighbor.
All right.
All right. A beautiful day in the neighborhood.
So Mr. Rogers movies are in.
Mr. Rogers movie.
I mean, this has got to be like the last one, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Who knows?
A documentary, and they're
You got a documentary. You got a narrative. That's it. You're done.
Yeah.
I think we're done.
So this is directed by Marielle Heller. I think it's her second movie because last year she directed Can You Ever Forgive Me?
She also directed Diary of a Teenage Girl or something like that.
Movie.
But yeah.
Yes, third movie. Forgive Me. I'm sorry. And
Can you ever forgive me?
Can you please forgive me? Guys? And so this is a story of this guy named Lloyd Vogel, and he's a pessimistic bastard, and he hates the world. And they're like, hey, do a profile on Mr. Rogers. He's like, yeah, but I don't want to. And it's like, yeah, tough, do it. So he does the profile, and through his time with Mr. Rogers, he learns more about life and becomes a better person. And that's pretty much it, right?
And happiness ensues.
And happiness ensues. And this is a cute movie.
This is a cute movie.
Yeah. Cute's the best word for it.
It's just really fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't as good as I wanted it to be.
No, not even close.
They had a nice framing device of the whole movie being a Mr. Rogers episode.
And I liked the miniatures.
That was great, except they dropped it.
They dropped it for like that one part. I was like, why?
My favorite miniature part was the one with the plane.
Yeah.
Where it
so
just like
good.
shoots up.
I really liked that.
There's a weird dream sequence that I don't like.
Oh yeah, the dream sequence was weird.
I was like,
but
because I was like confused the entire time. Like I got it was like a dream sequence, but I was like, why and what happened?
Mm-hmm.
What happened to so did you just walk into the studio and pass out?
I guess that's what they were implying because they cut to that other after that, and they're like all huddled around.
Well,
him.
yeah,
it's like, oh, he just collapsed.
But like. So he walks in and then it, like smoothly transitions into like you're in the episode. Mm-hmm. So is he just like,
yeah.
Where's Fred?
It didn't really bother me that much. I don't know. I thought it was kind of cool, but I get it. It's really weird.
I just don't know how it like it just it didn't. I don't know. It just didn't feel like it added much to it. It just I felt like I got the conflict without having a metaphorical Mr. Rogers thing to really hammer it home.
Most of the movie I just felt very lukewarm about. The stuff that really propelled it though was Tom Hanks. Yeah. Like he plays Mr. Rogers and it's whoever cast him deserves their own Oscar.
He's perfect, yeah.
And
he's perfect.
I love the part when he's like when they're like looking at how magazines are made.
Yeah.
Because that's just so, like, all the comments he was making was just how he would say it.
Yeah.
It was, like, kind of looks like mustard.
Yeah.
And at first I was actually kind of worried, because in the first scene I was like, wow, I love Tom Hanks and I love Mr. Rogers, but right now all I'm seeing is Tom Hanks. But over the course of the movie, he just, like, became Mr. Rogers.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever, like, have those moments where, like, you see a movie where an actor plays a real-life person, and after the movie, it's kind of hard to remember what the real-life person looks like?
Yeah.
And that was how I felt afterward with Tom Hanks, because he's just so good.
He's really good.
He is really good.
Lloyd
Score was
Vogel-
nice.
Yeah.
Score was nice.
Oh, yeah, that's cute.
I just don't have that much
Yeah,
to
I don't
say.
have much to
say.
Yeah.
Lloyd Vogel just wasn't that interesting to me. Like,
he was interesting enough. I mean, he was interesting for the amount of length the movie was. And that's about it.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I could just tell where his story was going from the very beginning.
I
And
mean, obviously, yeah. I feel like also maybe like its rating kind of holds it back from really getting into the thick of the stuff with his dad. I think maybe.
I don't know.
It just felt very.
What was it? PG?
Yeah, it was PG. It just felt very kind of surface level. But I mean, it was fine.
Yeah, it was fine. I mean,
It's harmless. it is.
Yeah.
It really is.
That's
like,
a great way of putting it.
It's just you turn it on for 2 hours and you're like, I like Mr. Rogers. I feel nice.
I do like that it's PG though, because I think that would allow families to take their kids to see it. Oh.
I just can't support PG related affair. I can't do it. It's for kids movies. And no, it's just kids movies. No, I'm just kidding. I don't really care.
If it's below NC-17,
I'm not going. Yeah. We needed the R-rated Mr. Rogers movie. Fuck.
What would that be?
Now let's get into the controversy in this movie, and there is none.
There is none. Wait, a movie this year without controversy?
What?
Crazy.
Wait, those
right?
still exist?
His name is A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood.
Yes.
That's how movies should avoid controversy. Just put Mr. Rogers in it. And then they can't say
get mad
anything
at
bad
Mr.
about
Rogers.
it. They should just remake Joker, but with Mr. Rogers instead.
Yeah.
Mr. Rogers becoming a Joker.
Yeah.
Oh no.
You know, neighbor, I used to think my life was a tragedy, but it turns out it's a comedy.
Neighbor.
It's a comedy. Do you know what comedy means?
Oh yes.
Like, we live in a society.
Do you know what society means?
SNL, please hire us.
Please.
Should we go to ratings?
Yeah,
Sure, let's do ratings.
There's not much to say about this one. Cam?
6!
Mine is also a 6.
Mine is also a 6.
The devil is here.
Oh no.
But yeah, also, okay, this is probably my least favorite Marielle Heller movie, but her other 2 movies are really good, so go and check them out.
Can You Ever Forgive Me is fantastic.
It's really good. So is, I want to think that the name of the other one is Diary of a Teenage Girl.
What do we got next, Paul?
Oh, yes, what's next?
Great question.
Next!
We got 21 Bridges, another Cam review.
21 Bridges, alright. The movie that just would never come out. So, so originally this movie was supposed to come out in July, and they're like, no, we can't do it. So then they pushed it back to December, and they're like, you know what, we also can't do that either. And then they pushed it back to Thanksgiving, basically. So it's finally out, it's here, the Chadwick Boseman cop film. And how is it? It's very okay. So, basically, Chadwick Boseman, his dad was a cop, and his dad got killed when he was little. And he's like, I will become a cop and stop him. So he grows up, and he's a cop, and he's like a very highly regarded cop because he's good, you know? And so, like, one night, these, like, 2 goons break into this place because they're trying to steal 30 kilos of cocaine. But when they get there, there's 300 kilos. And they're like, oh no, someone gave us the wrong information. And then, so these, like, 4 cops show up, and like, shooty time. So they kill the 4 cops, and then 4 other cops show up, and they kill them too.
Oh my
so
god.
8 cops dead.
Jesus.
Yeah, so, like, 8 cops are dead, and then Chadwick Boseman shows up, and he's like, what has happened here? And he, like, goes in, and it's like, I will stop them. And J.K. Simmons is there, and he's just the typical, you're like, fuck you, I'm a commissioner, you know? So it's like him and Sienna Miller, who's another detective. They go on the hunt, and turns out that there's a lot more to this case than you would think. And that's basically it. And it's just it's fine. Like it's fun enough. The shootouts are really fun. The action's really fun. The reveal was actually kind of surprising me because like basically it turns out that all the cops that got killed were actually dirty cops because they were going there to get the cocaine to help the people move it, because the only way you can really move that amount of cocaine in New York is if you had help from like the cartel or the police. So they're all bad. And like there's like it's like a white guy and a black guy are the two goons, and like the white guy gets shot and he's like and dies. And Chadwick Boseman's like, I got him. And then like the black guy like takes the girl and he's like, there's more to this, bro. And he's like, all right, but you gotta put her down and we'll talk. He's like, no, bro. And then he throws her into this like thing of meat and runs away. And then like Chadwick Boseman like chases him out of the train. They're talking. And he's like, hey, I'm gonna tell you what's happening. And then the girl comes in and shoots him. Chadwick Boseman's like, why would you do it? And so he's like cradling him. And then like he gives him these two like thumb drives. Because there's this whole other subplot where he got some thumb drives for this man, you know, and he's like, "This will prove it," and then he dies. And then, well, yeah. And then like Jack Boseman's like, "I must find the truth," so he like there's one day like J.K. Simmons in his house and he's talking. He's like, "Yeah, see you later, sweetheart." And then he puts his phone up, and Chadwick Boseman's just sitting at his table. He's like, "The fuck you doing here?" He's like, "I know what you did, JK." He's like,
Simmons?
Yeah. He's like, "What did I do, huh?" And he just goes into this big thing about how J.K. Simmons' whole unit is corrupt, and they're all bad, and it's like, "I'm gonna expose this." And he's like, "We have to do it to get paid." Chadwick Boseman's like, "Well, yeah. Well, he's like, my dad got killed by a guy who was coked up on cocaine, and you're just moving cocaine throughout the city? Fuck you, you clown." So then JK's like, "Oh, really?" And then I guess somehow J.K. Simmons had his boys there because they just start shooting at Chadwick Boseman, and Chadwick Boseman kills them all. And then like they have a scene where they're like JK's behind a wall and Chadwick Boseman's behind a wall, and they like shoot through the wall, and eventually like Chadwick Boseman hits him, and he goes in there, and JK's like, "I'm hurting." And Chadwick Boseman's like, "Don't do it, bro!" And he tries to shoot him, and then Chadwick kills him, and then he stops he like shows that it was bad and gets it out there, and that's it, and it's fine, and it's a 6.
All right,
alrighty, yes,
solid 6.
Solid 6 for
6 out of 10.
21 things you drive over.
Oh,
yep.
Things you have to use to get over.
Paul,
well,
hey JK, I know what you're doing.
Hey JK, I know what you're doing.
What am I doing that?
What am I doing that?
You can't put it up.
Wow.
All right, well, next we got Queen and Slim.
Queen and Slim. All right.
You got a bit to say about this one, don't you?
Yeah, I got a little bit to say about this one.
Oof.
Yeah. So, Queen and Slim, directed by Melina Matsoukas. I think I said it right. She's directed a lot of episodes of the show called Insecure on HBO. It's apparently really funny.
Oh, okay.
I thought you were going to say NCIS.
She's directed a lot of episodes of NCIS. And
Insecure IS.
Insecure IS. And written by Lena Waithe, this girl who was in Ready Player One and also writes this show called The Shy on Showtime. That my dad watches, and apparently it's pretty good, but I haven't seen it. Neat. So, going into this, I was like, I don't know how I feel about this, because I thought the trailers were kind of rancid. So, we go into it, and I will say, the first 30 minutes are actually not bad. While I think the confrontation with the cop is a little stilted and kind of just... it's just kind of... We need conflict to happen, so it's going to happen type thing. I expected, I expected more of, a lead-up for the cop actually pulling his gun on them, but it's really just Dan Kaluuya's like, hey, it's kind of cold out here. And the cop's like, what? And then pulls out the gun, and I'm like, really? Come on. I don't know. And then Daniel Kaluuya has to kill the cop, to protect him, and then they're on the run, and then, well, if it ain't the Black Bonnie and Clyde, they have to say it in the movie.
They sure do.
Yeah, so it basically just turns into them on the run, and they meet random other goons along the way, and it's just, the script, it's just not that good. It's really not that good. There's just certain things where I'm like, I don't really know what you're trying to say here. like, there's this really odd scene where they intercut a riot with a sex scene. And I was kind of like, huh? I just don't really understand, like, what... Because that's obviously trying to convey something, I would feel like, right?
Trying to connect the two.
But I'm like, what's the connection?
Well, is the riot about, like, racial equality? I
mean, it's about them. And, like, it's like Queen and Slim are having sex, and then, like, it's like... It's just really weird to go from, sex, right, sex, right. I'm just like... I just didn't really know what the point of it was. And they have this whole scene in there where this kid, who I guess was inspired by them, goes up to this black police officer and shoots him in the head. Yeah.
What?
And I'm like, what in the hell are you trying to say with that? Like, okay, that scene to me would have made a little semblance of a sense if it was a white cop, but it's a black cop. And is
the kid that shoots him black?
And the kid that shoots him is black. So I'm like, what is the message? Like, what is that? Like, what is the message, like, of that? And, like, another thing, the dash cam footage of the altercation with the white cop clearly shows that he's in the wrong. But, like, the media or whatever is like, let you see those goons, we gotta catch them. But I'm like, no, you clearly see the guy pull out his gun out of nowhere and just shoot the girl in the leg.
So he shoots her?
Yeah, he shoots her in the leg.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even know that.
And then it's like, you can clearly tell, but I guess the media's like, nope, they're bad, we gotta get them. Yeah, stop them. And I'm like, that's dumb. And then basically, in the end, they meet this one goon, and he's like, hey, y'all gave us something to believe in, I'll take you to the plane. Because there's a whole thing, we had to get to Florida to get this plane or whatever. Mm-hmm. And he's like, there's the plane, guys. And as soon as they're walking towards the plane, you see the cops pull up behind them, and they're like, oh no. And then, like, they're, like, standing there, and Queen just gets shot out of nowhere. Cop just shoots her. And he's like, oh no. And then he picks her up and starts walking towards the cops, and they just riddle him with bullets. And I'm like, wow, that was fucking awful and really sad. And then we actually get to learn their names, which I kind of liked that. We don't even know their names throughout the whole movie. We only, like, learn them at the end when it's doing, like, these two people were killed today, like, all like a newscast thing. So that was like, that's kind of cool. And then turns out the guy that helped him, like the black guy that helped him, was the one that sold him out. Because when they cut to him, he's just like fanning through money on his couch. He's like, so I was like, I mean, that's kind of a cool idea, I guess. But it's just, yeah, the script's kind of ass. But the directing and the cinematography are really nice, and the performances are really good. But the script just lets them down. So,
damn.
Yeah. So, sadly, this one gets a 5. But I would like to see Melina Matsoukas do something else, because she's a really nice director. She just needs a better script. Yeah. You let her down, Lena. You let her down.
Alrighty. What is up next?
Let's move on to Ford v Ferrari.
Another just Cameron movie?
Another one. Alright, Ford v Ferrari is James Mangold's new picture after Logan. And he was like, I want to tell this story. Fox, like, when you made a lot of money with Logan, make this movie, James. He's like, alright, I'm going to do it. So Ford v Ferrari, about the infamous race at Le Mans of Ford going against Ferrari. And it's an intense battle of Ford fighting Ferrari. And Ken Miles and Carroll Shelby were like, we will make this car go fast. And Ferrari's like, I don't think so. So this movie is awesome. It's really great. Matt Damon and Christian Bale. Oh, baby. They are so good in this movie. Like, Christian Bale's probably going to get nominated for another Oscar. Matt Damon maybe could too. The directing also for the racing scenes is just beautiful. Whole cast is phenomenal.
Nice.
Yeah. Really like the story. It's 2 hours and 32 minutes, but it really, really moves. There's about like one section in the middle where I feel like it could have maybe been shaved down a little bit, but other than that, I think this movie's fantastic. One of my favorites of the year. 9 out of 10.
Dang, okay. Would you say the pacing is faster than the Ford and Ferrari?
Yes.
Okay.
But stalls a little bit in the middle there.
Oh, yeah. I also feel like we should say at this point that none of us watched The Irishman. We didn't want to.
I have no desire to watch The Irishman.
That's workplace cruelty to make us watch it.
I will only watch it if it gets nominated for stuff.
It's probably going to. God.
I will watch it out of obligation.
That's a whole night, literally.
And I want to make it clear, like, I like Martin Scorsese. I'm not like a huge fan, but
his last movie was garbage.
3.5 hours.
There comes a time where something might just be better as a miniseries.
Yeah.
And
we
haven't seen it yet.
We should ask him.
Maybe
it's 3 hours.
Yeah.
Because his next movie, Killers of the Flower Moon, is filming here in Oklahoma over next summer. So I'm applying to work on it. And so I don't know if you guys are. A bunch of people we know are like trying to get involved in it. So we'll just ask him.
Yeah.
Why does The Irishman 3.5
so
fucking
damn
hours?
long? And if you were such a believer in cinema, why is it on Netflix?
Oh,
sorry.
Well, does he not like Netflix? Well,
he's the type of guy that's like that's ruining the cinema experience, But he's like, I had to put it on there because nobody wanted to fund this movie for some reason. I wonder
3.5 hours. Jesus.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, let's move on to our next movie, which is Harriet, which is Josh.
Oh, yeah, that's a movie I saw. Harriet Tubman. So Harriet Tubman is a person that was alive at one point. Yeah. She was pretty cool. So she was a black slave in the late or mid 1800s, right? I think so. Yeah, like before slavery was abolished, obviously. And she was about to be sold and managed to escape and ran like 100 miles north to Pennsylvania to become free. And she became free, but she felt bad that she got to be free and her family didn't. So she actually went back to get her family and then realized, oh wait, I'm actually really good at helping people escape to freedom. And so she basically dedicates her entire life to freeing slaves, and she like assumes this identity called Moses, and people are trying to like track and kill Moses because they have no idea that it's her. And I love the story of Harriet Tubman. She is absolutely incredible. Like I said on my last podcast, I made an all-white version of Harriet Tubman's story when I was 7 years old, back when I did not know any better. But
you're done, bro.
Yeah, and I'm honestly super surprised that it took this long for a movie about her to be made, but whatever.
Did you hear about the Julia Roberts thing?
No.
So an original producer on this movie was like, yeah, we can cast Julia Roberts as Harriet Tubman. It was so long ago, who's going to know the difference?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, and they meant it?
Yeah.
That's pretty bad.
What the fuck?
The guy was serious.
That's pretty bad.
Oh.
Why would they say that?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Well, on that note, the movie's good. It's not fantastic. It's like, it's a solid biopic, but it's not like incredibly memorable. It doesn't do anything to really change up the format of it. Because her escaping and going on that journey by herself, that's a really interesting part of the story. And her character change when she decides to go back, that's really interesting as well. But once it becomes like a routine thing of hers, it just becomes less interesting because it's less tense, because it's more just frequently used in montage sequences and stuff. And also, I mean, we know that Harriet Tubman wasn't killed by white people, and so it's like, well, but the movie's good. Cynthia Erivo is great as Harriet Tubman. She gives a really good performance. So the movie also finds ways to make her sing, which is really cool.
Really?
No, yeah, and it's not like a big musical number moment singing. It's just like
a chanting kind of thing?
A way that Harriet Tubman communicates to people is she'll be like, she can't just go up to them in the fields because then she'll get caught. And so she hides off in the woods and then starts singing to them. And then if whoever hears her sing, if they want to go, they just run off with her. And that's like a cool thing that they do because she's a great singer. And the movie's good, but there's one thing that I had a big problem with. I know I've told you about it, Cameron. I don't know if I've told you, Paul.
Hear it.
So Harriet can do this thing where she talks to God. And apparently that, I didn't know if this was a thing or not, but Harriet Tubman, at least in this movie, talks about how she can like almost communicate with God and he helps lead her along the way. And that's a great way of thinking about your situation, like God's leading you. But the way they do it in the movie is very melodramatic because there are moments where Harriet will literally like freeze in the moment, fall to her knees, close her eyes, and she'll have like a euphoric silent moment while like the wind rustles in the trees, and then she's like, I can't go this way, I have to go that way instead. And then turns out the way she was originally going to go was dangerous. And often there are, like, flashback sequences during these moments, or, like, flash-forward sequences as well. And the flashback and flash-forward sequences... Okay, I want to make it clear. I'm a very nice person, and I try to not use mean words, but the cinematography for those flashback sequences is literal garbage. It is garbage. Because imagine just the regular cinematography for the movie. They make it black and white, tint it blue, and then just ramp up the exposure. That's basically what it looks like. And it looks like they just literally... It was an afterthought in editing. It looks awful. And what frustrates me is that the rest of the cinematography is good. So I know that they were capable of doing something. If you want to do something different for the flashback sequences, fine. Just try harder, please, because it didn't look good. But other than that, the movie was good. I'll give it a 6. Yeah, so 6. It's a 6. It was very okay.
Very okay.
We have 3 movies left.
Alright, so next we got Frozen 2.
Alright.
That's
Yay.
Josh and I saw
Let's hear it, boys.
We have some interesting opinions.
Yeah.
Indiana!
The Panic at the Disco cover is way better than the one in the movie.
I love both of them. I will agree, though, that Panic at the Disco's version is so good.
Superior. In every way.
Well, agree to disagree.
In every way.
Boys,
Adina Menzel, she's losing her voice.
She
like,
is.
I mean, she
I'm not going to say
is.
she's not, but
the
harmonies in
she
Wicked.
fucked it up bad. Yeah, and Wicked.
Ooh.
Because just, yeah.
Didn't take
That's a whole other thing, though.
Okay,
But anyways,
yeah.
That's a whole other podcast.
What? That's our next podcast.
That's the secret extra material that we're having.
Yeah, okay, so Frozen 2.
So
Frozen 2, the sequel to Frozen, long anticipated sequel to Frozen.
Since 2013.
It still feels so new.
Yeah, it really does. And who's directed it?
Chris Buck.
I don't know.
Buck?
And Jennifer...
So, I don't, yeah.
Oh, shoot.
I don't remember.
Jennifer Kent.
I gotta look it up. Oh, God, I'd like to see that one.
But yeah,
Kent's Frozen.
And it brings back all the old cast and brings out a whole new plot about Elsa getting a literal call to adventure that's calling her into the unknown. And so she goes, and everyone else goes for some reason. And then, sorry, I don't like this movie. Anyways, so
Jennifer Lee and Chris Buck.
So, alright, so it follows Elsa as she gets a literal call to adventure, and she goes into the unknown with all the rest of her cast as they try to figure out what happened all those long years ago with Arendelle and this mysterious woodland folk, and how they can lift a curse from an enchanted forest, and hijinks ensue. So most of the characters in this movie just aren't necessary. Well, not most of them. Just 3 of the 4 of the main cast. Anna literally has nothing to do until the end. Kristoff literally has nothing to do. He just has one thing where he's trying to propose to Anna the entire time. Or sorry, not the entire time. Half of the movie, and then the other half, or he sings one of the best songs.
That song is amazing.
In recent Disney history. And then literally just fucks off for an hour. And then Olaf gets Thanos snapped. Spoilers, sorry. But he gets dusted, yeah.
Good.
No, he comes back. But he also has a really dumb arc that also gets dropped halfway through the movie.
Oh no. What about like being mature or whatever?
Yeah, like growing up.
Growing up. At the beginning of like the, I guess, second act, if you will, they go into the wood, and Olaf is like, "Oh man, a mysterious enchanted forest. That means some of us are going to change." They don't change. Elsa is the only one who has a character arc, and I mean, I guess you could say Anna has a character arc, but
I definitely say Anna has one.
But what does she learn?
To rely on herself.
Well, but she's always relied on herself.
Has she though?
Yeah.
I guess you could definitely argue that Anna has done stuff for herself, and like, that's no. But I think Anna has definitely always been very independent. But
in the first Frozen, she goes off to save her sister on her own, and then runs into Kristoff to help her.
But I think in this movie, it's handled in a much more mature way.
But is it? I mean, what?
I do.
I mean,
it's not just doing things.
It's not even like
she has. Well, because
her like what the reason why she's going with Elsa is so that she can do the next right thing, and which is it's
the song, right?
Whole thing, yeah. And the magic pebbles.
She may lose herself to it.
Told her that they need to. She should watch over Elsa.
The magic is very alluring.
But then at the end, she has this arc about being independent, which is not the same as what she set out to do, or what her initial motivation was.
Well, but I think that's the point, that it changes.
But I've never once in the entire movie watching Anna be like, wow, she needs to be more independent. She's independent the entire time. It's just she goes back to help Elsa because she thinks she needs to.
Well, I guess it's wrong that I said the word independent. I think it's that she needs to learn how to make difficult decisions. Because, her trying to help Elsa, she's always been a good person.
But when has that been a difficulty for her?
What?
Making difficult decisions.
What do you mean?
Well, because, if... I don't recall a time where she's come across a difficult decision and had difficulty deciding what to do. So why does that need to be an arc? If that's never been a flaw or something about her character.
That's true. I don't know.
That's the thing. She literally just has nothing to do, and then they give her this song that's really depressing. At first, at least. Yeah. And then it's just I don't know. It's like the song makes it feel like something happens, but nothing does.
What? What do you mean nothing happens?
She makes the decision of how to do the climax, and that's about it. I mean, she realizes that she needs to destroy spoilers. That she needs to destroy Arendelle.
Yeah, I don't care.
She needs to destroy Arendelle to restore the mistake that they made.
What?
Or they,
yeah.
Or,
wow.
Not, but it doesn't happen. But which is also really dumb. I don't know why they did that. But
why Arendelle doesn't get destroyed?
Why it doesn't get destroyed? They just save it, and they're like, "Yeah, we did it. We saved Arendelle." It's like that wasn't the conflict, but okay.
Is there a villain?
Kind of,
but not really.
It's their grandpa, but because basically their grandpa, which this was really obvious. They treated this like a twist, but I was like, this is really obvious.
Yeah.
That basically back in the day, their dad went to talk to these woodland forest people. Okay. And they were going to make peace with the Arendellians, and then he gets distracted. But then he looks back and they're fighting each other. Okay. And they're like, "What?" He's like, "What happened? Mm-hmm. Why? They must have sprung a surprise attack on us." And then it's revealed later that they built this dam as a peace offering. Okay.
But it wasn't actually.
He was trying to control them. It was a prank. Yeah. And the grandpa was like, "They're magic users. I don't like them."
And then it's revealed.
That's not good joking.
And then it's revealed that Anna and Elsa's mom is actually one of the magic users,
which they don't recognize immediately.
That's going to quotes right now.
That was also a reveal, which I was like, "It's right there."
Magic users, I don't like them.
I mean, that's basically what it is.
But yeah, and so
magic users, I don't like them. That's awful.
But so since their mom and dad are
from Arendelle and Woodland people,
yeah, since they basically represent the peace in between these two races, the four spirits granted them a gift by making their first child have magical powers, and so Elsa is the fifth spirit.
Is this fifth elemental ice spirit, basically. So,
and that's what's been calling to her.
Does she die in the end, or
no? She just goes away. It's a Toy Story 4 ending, basically.
Well, Elsa almost dies at one point. She kind of... Okay, so the thing
in the same way that Anna almost dies.
Well, the thing that's been calling to Elsa has been her mom on this island where the elements...
Yeah,
well, her mom is dead.
There's a reveal about, they weren't... what they were actually... Excuse me. What they're actually sailing off to do.
So much is happening in this movie.
There's a lot that... There's a lot of lore in this movie.
Right? Tarzan.
No, yeah, I wish. But I'm a fan of that theory, but
it's there.
It's there, but no, it's not anymore because they're actually sailing to go upwards.
Oh no!
And they're shipwrecked.
They rewrite the lore.
Because
they were trying to find this island that may be the source of Elsa's powers.
Yeah, say it, tell them, Paul.
That's like that was one thing that confused me. They're like, the ice spirit is calling to me, but then it's revealed that Elsa's the ice spirit. So I'm like, who's calling to her?
The spirit, like
herself, maybe.
Yeah. The spirit side of herself.
I guess
like,
so.
Dude,
which was also like, okay,
come on.
so Elsa is this like fundamental force of nature, but in the first movie she defiled nature. Who knows? But anyway,
sell tickets.
Maybe I'm a little.
How about the part where she rides the ice
music?
horse?
Also sucks. I really don't like the music in this movie.
What?
Yeah.
Are you kidding? It's so good.
It's the unknown.
What about the ice horse, guys?
What
about the ice horse?
They're like,
or the water horse.
The water horse.
Excuse
the
me.
hippocampus.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Is it cool?
It's
yeah.
a nice little.
Right.
The visuals are stunning.
They're pretty
in
cool.
this
Yeah.
as well. Specifically in Show Yourself. When Elsa is just like dancing around all of these.
The song sucks.
Moving.
The visuals.
It does not.
They're like, you know what?
It is so good.
In Frozen, we had one Let It Go. Let's have two this time.
Damn.
I will agree that it is weird having two like big song moments.
Ballad.
Power
Right.
ballad.
Yes.
Power
And
ballad.
I think Into the Unknown is the better of the
It
two.
definitely is, especially the Panic at the Disco one. But
Shut up. Also, I loved Anna's song as well. I cried during it.
really,
Yes, I thought
the music was bad. I thought the lyrics were really bad, especially Into the Unknown. Like the lyrics for Into the Unknown suck. Like they're really bad.
the first verse isn't that great. The chorus I thought was really good.
Well, it's because it's 3 words.
Yeah.
Into the into the
Which is bad because it's like,
and the harmonies are so good towards the end of it, with her and Evan Rachel Wood.
Oh yeah, but
love her,
which is weird because like the lyrics are bad for most of the songs, and then it's also bad for Lost in the Woods. But that's the point.
Yeah,
and so it's like, where am I being memed? Like, what are you supposed? Is the whole movie supposed to have bad lyrics on purpose? But because they're doing it on purpose in this song to be funny, but they're not. It doesn't seem like they're doing it on purpose to be funny in these songs.
Yeah,
I don't know, and it was just like Elsa was my least favorite character in Frozen, and then that's literally she's the only character that matters in this movie.
I didn't find her that interesting.
I thought
Frozen.
Anna was so important in this one as well. I think for most of the movie, she's in the background, but she's the one that literally saves the entire day.
Don't walk into fire.
But does that? Okay, that makes her important at the end, but
I think
the entire movie she doesn't do anything.
But so odd. I have no clue what you guys are saying.
Because I think the point with Anna's story is that the entire movie she's trying to basically just protect Elsa, and at the end she basically learns, I just have to rely on myself and do the right thing, make difficult decisions.
But is that a lesson you can learn from? I don't see how those things relate.
I thought the whole point of it was like them together. Like togetherness was kind of the message.
It was at the end because they changed. They don't know what to fucking do.
The togetherness was the message of the first one.
It's a very confused.
The togetherness.
It's a very confused movie. It doesn't. It doesn't like. They're like, let's just make this fucking weird ass story and try to force these characters into it.
I disagree. Okay. I think the first Frozen was about them becoming like more ingratiated together, whereas this one is about them learning about them individually, learning about themselves.
But you have to separate them to do it.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, Elsa learns a very similar lesson that she does in the first movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and which
I agree.
And I'm like,
I think Anna's song.
What are you learning?
I wholeheartly disagree, though. That I think Anna's song was great, especially because the thing is, when Elsa gets like frozen by this ice thing, because
what?
Yeah,
no,
because Elsa's frozen, anything that she created also dies, and so Olaf basically
gets Thanos now.
Olaf dies in Anna's arms.
Good.
And
he's significantly less funny in this movie. I liked him in the first movie.
You did?
Yeah, I thought he was funny in the first movie. This
he wasn't that great in this one, but
I mean, he had a couple of scenes, but.
Anna basically then has to. I'm just going to talk on my own, but Anna basically has to sing this song about how she's going to like continue going on, even though at this point she feels like she's lost everything.
You said Elsa.
Did I? Anna.
Kristen Bell.
What does he think you did?
The redhead.
I just think that's probably the most powerful moment of the movie because, Elsa has these big power ballad moments, but Anna's like, no, I'm literally at my lowest freaking point possible, but I'm still going to stand up and get up and go out and do what's right because I know what the right thing to do is.
It's a great short story in the middle of this fucking movie. Oh! It has no connection to the rest of it.
Who do I trust, you two? I don't know.
Okay, fine. I understand where
What about the
coming
little
from.
chameleon thing?
Well,
that's makes the pedal on
that's
his
the
mouth.
fire spirit.
It's the new pet thing.
That's the fire
new
spirit.
toy.
Yeah, all of the spirits have very different personalities.
But I like also when they're playing charades, I was like, this is dumb.
They play charades.
Yes, and then like Olaf does like the Elsa thing from Let It Go, and they're like, oh my gosh, it's Elsa.
That is kind of funny. But
they do make fun of Let It Go a few times in this.
Which why? It's so annoying.
Because it's Let It Go.
Because they're...
Because it's Disney and they're self-aware now.
Yeah, I am so fucking done with Disney being like, haha, we're Disney, wink wink, nudge nudge. Like, shut the fuck up and just make a good movie.
You own everything. Just make
stop,
a good movie.
Stop, like, trying to wink at me and poke me with your elbow. Like, that's not what Disney is.
But Paul, Mr. Iger wants you to know he's relatable too.
I guess, yeah. I don't know why they didn't do that in Beauty and the Beast when they were
Paul.
just like, haha, get it? We're a fairy tale.
Say it, Paul. Listen here, Bob.
Listen here, Bob.
Robert Iger.
Robert Iger. I'm so done with Disney. I'm not done with Disney, but
I'm not. I can't be. They own too much of stuff I love.
Yeah. But I'm so sick of it.
Well, should I see it, guys? I mean...
If you want. I mean, honestly, Kristoff's song is worth the admission.
It really is.
Okay.
It's hilarious.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Is this a long movie? It sounds like it sounds like it would need to be.
No, it's not. It actually gets a lot of it condensed pretty
well.
Also, is Kristoff bisexual? Because
he had weird chemistry with that
one dude.
That one guy. No, I'm usually not one who sees that kind of thing, but it was weird.
Yeah.
I was like, what's going on here?
And there's nothing with Elsa for being...
No, there's like that one scene where she talks with that girl, but...
I mean, but isn't that just like talking?
It is.
Yeah. It's the same way that Kristoff and that guy are just talking.
No. But yeah, I was really... Which also, you know what they should have done? They should have made Kristoff one of those people.
Oh.
I thought that would have been great because he has an explicitly unknown parentage. I don't know. It would have matched more with the theme of like showing yourself and learning about yourself, like Elsa has, but with Kristoff as well. I thought that would have been interesting, so we wouldn't have to fuck off for half the movie.
Well.
Yeah, that sounds dumb.
Yeah.
I have nothing left to say.
Yeah, and there's this bit where he keeps trying to propose to Anna, but then Anna is like,
was he like pratfall or some shit and can't do it, or like
no, she just keeps like getting mad at him
for wanting to propose.
No, he keeps saying the wrong words leading up to it, and she keeps misinterpreting it and getting mad at him.
Bad things. He's just saying
it's just like, oh, Kristoff.
No, it's like whenever he's riding in they're in like the sled, and he's like, Anna, last time we were saying, I called you crazy for wanting to marry someone. You're like, you think I'm crazy? And he's like, no,
Oh, God.
And it's like really forced, and she gets like super paranoid for no reason. I was like, what?
Now, what about the rock monsters?
They're barely in it.
They don't have it.
They tease it in the trailer, though.
They sure do, yeah.
What about...
I thought you were talking about the rock creatures from the first one.
No, these
they're
the giant boys.
But the giant...
The Earth Spirits?
Yeah, the giant boys.
They are cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean...
What about Sterling K. Brown?
Yeah.
Oh.
He's in it.
Is he just in it so they can say we have a black guy in the movie? Or?
No, Arendelle is a lot more diverse in this one.
Oh,
which I think is...
That's clearly just a fucking... Oh, we didn't do it the first time. Let's do it now.
In the first movie, they were all white.
Everybody's white.
But in this one, it's like a pretty nice 50-50 split on like a gradient.
I wonder when that happened. And
I wonder
okay.
So I was like, I don't know what...
Good on you, Aaron.
Good
on you, guys.
Guess Arendelle really opened up with their trade. Really opened up the outside visitors.
They read the criticisms from the last one.
Yeah.
So does he have anything to do in the movie, or is he just
he does.
I'm lieutenant, or like...
I mean, he doesn't... I mean, he has stuff to do.
Okay.
Enough stuff to where he's like, okay, yeah.
I was kind of interested because I really like him,
But anyways, let's just get into ratings. We talked about this for way too long.
This is going to be interesting.
Really entertaining to
okay.
listen to.
Mine is an 8.
Wow. mine is half that.
Okay, so a 4. So that makes our final rating a 6.
Bullshit.
For Frozen 2. I also say bullshit.
8?
Yeah, it's maybe my favorite animated movie of the year.
What? And you...
What other animated movies have come out this year?
Well, we're about to talk about one. Klaus.
Klaus is also really good.
Is way better than Frozen.
But it's on Netflix, so it's not cinema.
Yeah. Klaus is like leagues better than Frozen. It's way prettier. It's hand drawn, I think, mixed with 3D animation. And although anyway, let's just get into what Klaus is about before I start gushing about it. But so Klaus is a new Netflix animated movie. I don't know who directed it.
He worked on The Emperor's New Groove.
I know that. Of course he did.
Yeah.
That makes complete sense, because I definitely got Emperor's New Groove vibes. Mm-hmm. Is it the same voice actor, too?
I don't know.
For Jesper. But anyway, so... so... Sergio. It's a new take on the origin of Santa Claus, and a pretty unique one at that. I think. It's very... it's a very cool interpretation. I really enjoy it. It's really pretty. Really freaking pretty. Like, every single frame, save for a few. Like, I was like, man, this is really nice. I think the only flaw I have with the way it looks is I don't think the 2D and 3D animation mesh too well all the time together. But there's particularly one shot when they're, like, revealing, like, the Postal Academy, like, training grounds, I think is kind of ugly. But, really,
for the most part, it's good.
But for the most part, it's really, really good. I think it's beautiful.
Art style's great.
Art style's great. The characters are hilarious. It's really funny.
Yeah, Jesper's a lot of fun.
Jesper is so funny.
Oh yeah, because the movie is about this guy named Jesper, who is a postman who is sent up to...
he's the son of the postmaster, or the head of the royal post. And
Jesper is very selfish, and so as punishment, his father sends him off to be a postman in this town where nobody likes each other.
Called Smearensburg.
Yes. And he has to basically stay there until he sells a certain amount of...
Or until he posts... mails 6,000 letters in a year. Yeah. And he has a year.
Yeah, but nobody
uses mail in the town.
And then he ends up meeting this man who lives in the woods named Klaus. And...
Is that Santa?
Yeah.
Is Santa. And basically, through hijinks that ensue, he and Klaus start leaving presents for children. Mm-hmm. So I think the thing that's most interesting about this being an origin story for Santa Claus is that there's no magic.
There's no magic.
Well, right. It's hinted at the end.
There's a little bit of magic throughout the movie, which is like kind of magic, but not really.
Teensy bits.
It's like nature magic.
If
anything.
Yeah. But Santa Claus himself
is
magical. Which makes me feel like this would be a great movie to show to your kids after revealing to them that Santa Claus isn't real. By, like, saying, hey, he may not be real, he may not actually be magical, but look, like, this is... The magic can still exist in real life.
Yeah, and it's just... Oh my god, it's so good. Like, the way, like, everything evolves, too, is really natural. Like, the way the myth evolves... because Jesper's like spinning this tale so that he's able to mail these 6,000 letters by the end of the year,
and he comes up with the idea of the naughty list because this one kid who's mean to Jesper, he doesn't want to give him a toy.
He gives him a lump of coal, and then like he's like, "Hey, why'd you give me, or why'd Santa give me a coal, or why'd Klaus give me a coal?" And he's like, oh, you know, he watches you at all times. And, he has a list, the naughty list. It's so good. I mean, and like they use some pop songs, which I think is kind of annoying.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's one they use like "How do you like me now?" I like that montage where he's like giving these letters or like means to write letters to kids as though it's like drugs. He's like doing all these drug deals with letters, and he's like, "Hey kids, want a toy?" It's really, really good. It's really creative. And even though like Smearensburg is like all these grays and whites and like very like somewhat bland looking, it's still so beautiful with like the shapes that they make and like just so stunning.
This reminded me a lot of Santa Claus is Coming to Town, the stop motion animation one.
Because it's with the same like postman motif.
Yeah, and it's about like Jesper is Kris Kringle, and then Klaus is the Mr. Winter Warlock.
Oh,
and then there's a school teacher character in it. There's
who looks very similar to the one in that movie.
Yeah. And that's one of my issues with the movies, that I could kind of see where it was going.
Oh yeah,
but
it was such a good time getting to that point. Like that's
true.
If it's an obvious movie where everyone knows where it's going, as long as you give it like a good time, get enough time to where it's like it feels earned every step of the way, then it's like whatever, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I get that.
This movie did it for me. There's just a couple moments, like there's one pop song whenever they were like teaching or like translating that one girl's like letter.
Oh yeah,
it was cute, but I didn't like the pop song.
That was still a sweet moment.
I just hate whenever movies use pop songs for like emotional moments, because the lyrics always distract me. I always just prefer score. And I don't know. Always the lyrics like kind of match, but not really most of the time. Oh, I also don't think like the second act of Low Point hit very well.
Yeah.
When they're all like mad at him because
they found out that he was actually there.
He was just doing it to get the 6,000 letters. But at that point, he like already changed.
Yeah, but they don't give him an opportunity to explain himself. They just turn on him so quickly.
I know, they're like, "You used us," and I was like, "But like, he still like did all of this. Like, he still did a nice thing."
Yeah.
I mean, his intent wasn't quite there,
but it became there.
It became there, and like especially with the first scene with Klaus, how he like forces him to like break into this person's house and like leave a present. And then it's like, I mean, I don't really know if you have like room to be like, you're not doing this for the right reason when you literally kidnapped him and forced him to do it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's still really good.
It's good. It's a good film.
It's a good film. I think it's a new Christmas classic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll definitely be watching this more over the break.
Up there with Last Christmas?
Yeah. No. Well, let's take it easy.
Rating?
I think I'd give it a 7.
I'd give it a 7 too.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, that makes the final rating for Klaus a 7
out of 10.
Because we can do math. Last but not least, I think this is last, right?
This is last.
I'm gonna live. live.
We got Knives Out.
Until I die.
What a great movie.
What a fantastic film. Ryan Johnson. I love this movie. I love it.
May have ruined Star.
You didn't ruin it.
Yeah. Okay, you ruined this trilogy.
You ruined fandom.
You did ruin the fandom. At the very least.
Yeah, that is
fuck. But sir, did you ever bring it back?
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I love this movie.
It's so good.
Where do we start?
Let's start with the plot. Well, I don't want to spoil this one. Well, but we kind of have to.
Yeah. So Christopher Plummer plays this guy named Harlan Thrombey. He is a famous mystery writer, and he is very rich, and he has a very selfish family. Yes. And then one day he commits suicide. Or did he? Because a week later, a detective, played by the one and only Daniel Craig,
Benoit Blanc,
gets a bunch of money basically saying, hey, solve this case. But he's like, but it was a suicide. But maybe it wasn't. So he basically starts trying to solve this case, and he takes a particular interest in the dead man's nurse, Marta. And she has this condition where basically the thought of lying makes her want to throw up, which is really interesting for a character in a mystery story to have that. Because the thing is, Marta may or may not know more than she seems to be saying. Yes. And the way the hijinks ensue and the way the plot unfolds is so interesting.
Very.
Because, like, the movie advertised itself, literally in the trailer, it says, here comes a whodunit like nobody has ever done it. And I thought that was just like a cheesy,
like,
catchy line.
There it is.
But
it really is.
Because
They
they reveal a huge chunk of information very early on.
Yeah.
And
I really didn't know how I felt about that.
I was
first.
really mad.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I wanted a whodunit.
Yeah, I know. And I was like, huh? But
but
it is a whodunit.
Yeah, it is. But like for 30 minutes, I was really mad because I was like, I wanted something else. And,
you wanted to speculate more.
Yeah, I wanted more of a mystery, and I was like, damn it! And so,
but I went along with it, and what he did ended up being fantastic.
Yeah, it was a donut hole inside a donut hole.
Because, like, once they've revealed that information, you spend a big chunk of the movie thinking, is this it? Like, are we just trying to figure out if the detective finds out this information now? But then once the detective does, they're like, oh, wait, there's more information.
Yeah.
And they do it in such clever ways.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, Lord. He's just sitting there listening to his tones. Oh, my God. All right. The cast...
Oh my gosh.
My Lord.
Wow, star-studded.
So
but weirdly underused.
I mean, not entirely, but
it's okay.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it in a bad way.
Okay, yeah.
But
because
it's the point of the movie, kind of.
Yeah. They got Daniel Craig, Lakeith Stanfield, Jamie Lee Curtis, Christopher Plummer,
Michael Shannon,
Toni Collette,
I will find him.
Jaden Martell,
Catherine Langford,
yeah,
Chris Evans. You ever say Chris Evans?
I did not say Chris Evans. He's like one of the biggest ones.
Yeah. Ana de Armas.
Billy from It.
Is Ana de Armas like a new?
No, she's been in stuff.
Or because I've never heard of her.
Blade Runner 2049. And,
she what?
Mm-hmm. She's Joy.
Really?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Now I recognize her.
She's in that. She's in War Dogs. She's been in a lot of smaller stuff. This is probably her biggest role so far.
Okay, good for her.
Love her.
I
Great.
thought she was good, but her character was kind of... I mean, not bad. Like, her character was good enough, but...
I thought her character was great.
Really?
I did, yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I loved her character.
It wasn't the most complex, but I think that's fine.
Well, yeah, I think she was good enough to, like, hold the movie on her own, but, like... I think that since so many of the other characters were so bold and dynamic, and she's kind of like the smaller one around them, and the movie focuses on her, I think it makes her relatable, and it makes it good that she's the main character, but it also kind of diminishes the spectacle of her character, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yes.
The spectacle.
Chris Evans is great.
Chris Evans is great.
Yeah, he's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what happened to my grandfather.
The
way he delivers that line is so good.
It's pretty good.
Ugh. He's just such a lovable asshole.
And they got an extra bowl, so if you throw up, I will know. You're gonna tell me, Marta.
I want to know what Rian Johnson's first idea was for this movie.
Did he say he had a first idea?
Well, I don't know. My thing is, like, whenever I read or see a mystery, and there's always, like, interesting ideas, I want to know, what was the first idea? Because so many, like, interesting things happen in this movie that I haven't seen before, and I want to know, what did this whole movie stem from? What was the original, like, fun, cool, new idea, and what other things did he come up with along the way? Because there's so much.
I feel like he wanted to, like, dissect the...
That's what he likes to do with all of his movies. He likes to take a genre that's known for being one way and just completely flip it on its head.
Right.
And with other things, I think that can work. With Star Wars, it's a little,
That's not...
But with this, and like Looper, and like some like other stuff he's made, I think it works great.
Yeah. And I also like how he took race into account in the story to help add a modern twist to it, because the nurse is from... We don't actually know where she's from, because nobody actually... Like, everyone says different things.
Uruguay, Paraguay,
Ecuador, yeah. They say
that's a detail I really like.
Yeah.
It's like, our Brazilian caretaker, that they're all just don't give a fuck about her.
And the thing is, so if we're not spoiling it, all I will say is she does know something vitally important and is hiding it from people. And if it gets out that she knew that, then her and her family could get deported. Mm-hmm. And she doesn't want that. And so that's a major part of the story. And I think that's really interesting.
Well, and even like the story puts a lot of attention on her family.
Yeah.
And that also makes everyone nervous, because it's like, we just want to like go by.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely think it's interesting. And like, the family is like, they are a bunch of selfish, like, jerks.
Yeah.
But to be fair, they do some. They're like decently good people. Like
I mean,
they did offer to take care of her and her family, which is a very very generous thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
True. Yeah.
Which makes the whenever something happens in the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, the end.
But I don't know if that was just like a backhanded, like, oh, we'll take care of you. Like,
Well, I think they.
I don't know. Maybe.
I'm wondering that.
Well, I think it was real because they said they discussed it with the family.
Basically, when Harlan dies, he has a lot of money, so there's a big issue as to who is getting this money.
Yeah. Right. Who's getting like the publishing rights, the house, money.
Those are the main three things.
The main three things. This is still our house.
Is it though?
Like turn it
Yeah.
Yes.
Are we gonna spoil stuff?
Are we? Oh, I don't want to.
Okay. I have to.
I think we should.
We should. Okay.
Because I really want to like talk about it.
You're right.
I mean, do you guys have anything?
I'm okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I have something.
All right. Well, seriously, for this one, if you haven't seen the movie,
please don't listen to this part.
Please don't listen to this part because it's
really, really, really infect your experience.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. So,
all right, 3, 2, 1.
Ransom is a fuck. Yeah.
Chris Evans' character.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not letting you get away with this.
So,
in for a penny.
Basically, the information that's revealed very early on in the movie is that when Marta was applying his medicine, or like injecting him with medicine, she accidentally injected him
too much of the good stuff.
Morphine.
Yes, and basically he was going to die in a couple minutes, and if they found out that she was the one that did it, even though it was an accident, she would get deported. And so Harlan, since he loves Marta so much, he decided to just kill himself.
Stage his suicide.
And that's the reason that we were all like, what? Is that all that happened?
This is revealed in like the first 30 minutes.
I'd say the first 30 minutes. Yeah. And it's this whole elaborate scheme
of
what she has to do.
And then
because at first I was like, okay, they kind of revealed that, so I don't know, maybe because we didn't really see him kill himself.
Yeah, I was like, maybe he didn't. Yeah.
And then it was, and then they showed it, and I was like, well, that.
When she was like,
that's what happened.
Yeah.
And then she ends up getting everything he owns in his will, which just makes her more scared that people are going to find out.
Yeah,
pisses
the family
off. Are you blinking my father?
She has like run to her car, and then Ransom comes and is like, "Hey, come in my car." Mm-hmm. So then they go to like this restaurant, and he's like, "What does he say, Paul?"
Tell me what happened to my grandfather.
And then she tells him the whole thing, basically.
And basically, Chris Evans' character, Ransom, takes her under his wing. Mm-hmm. But then...
because fuck my family is what he says.
Yeah.
It's revealed that Ransom actually is responsible for the whole thing.
Yes.
Because... so what happened was... he wanted Marta to accidentally kill Harlan. He wanted Harlan to die so that his...
because he knew that she was going to get the will.
Yes, and so he wanted him to die and make it look like Marta killed him so that she wouldn't get anything and she would just go to jail. Or, or at least get deported.
He sets everything up.
So the thing is, he switched the labels on these two medicines.
Or he
he took
the liquids out.
He switched the liquids on these two medicines, thinking that Marta would read the sign on the liquid and then apply it. But since she's such a freaking good nurse, she didn't even look at the labels. She just knew that morphine weighed more than... what was the other thing she was... The other thing. And so she actually applied the correct medicine into him, but then thought she applied the wrong one. And so he wasn't even going to die, but he killed himself for nothing. Which is, I think it's funny, because that means that his death could technically be considered a murder, an accident, and a suicide.
In a way.
Like, it could be considered all three. Yeah. And so...
basically, And so once he heard that there was a suicide, he was like, what? That's not what was supposed to happen. And so he went into I think did he go back in and try to get evidence?
He tried to frame Marta.
Right, he tried to frame Marta, and then the help, or the...
Fran.
Poor Fran.
Noticed him.
And she's like, fuck you, Ransom.
Yeah. He's like, I don't think so.
Fuck you, Hugh.
Hugh.
She was the one.
Oh, yes. And so basically, she was like, I know you're up to something. You better give me money.
Yeah.
And so he kills her.
Overdoses her on morphine.
He makes it look like Marta did it because he plants Marta at the same place as her.
Yeah.
Assuming that Marta would get caught, but because Marta's such a good person, she decides to, instead of run away... Help Fran, and she calls 911.
But we lose her.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so... And then Ransom ended up being the one who hired
Benoit
Blanc to solve the case, even though he was the one who did it, so he could frame Marta for killing him. It's pretty convoluted, but it was...
It sounds weird us describing it, but
every murder mystery plot is convoluted.
When it plays out in the movie, it's very clear.
Like, I'm a huge Agatha Christie fan. I love all of her books, but I gotta admit, some of her plot lines are weird. And this one is weird, but I love it.
Yeah, it was really good. Whenever the information was revealed that he killed himself and that it was somewhat Marta's fault, I was like, well, that was lame. I wanted an actual murder mystery. Like, I wanted to have a good time with a murder mystery, a nice whodunit. But then that's when we get wrapped up into like maybe there's something else going on.
So the twist of the whodunit is that it's not a whodunit, and then the twist is that it is a whodunit.
Yes.
Yeah, and so then I got really happy and I loved it.
Yeah,
I thought it was so good. I was like, man, that tricked me really well. I had a really good time.
Me too.
I did too.
I mean, I don't know.
Really liked this movie.
Cinematography was kooky and fun.
Yeah. Score was nice.
Nice.
Yeah. Editing, so good.
Really good.
Paced really well, and they somehow managed to convey all the information really easily.
Yeah.
And they had the lamest car chase ever.
That was funny. Pick up the phone. Yeah. God, so funny. Ugh. Yeah, well, I don't really have much else to say.
Yeah, I'm ready for scores.
Yeah, all right.
Scores? Me? All right, 9.
8.
8.
That is still really good. Yeah. So the final verdict is an 8.3 out of 10.
Shing-shing's out.
Shing-shings. Okay, so while you guys look up the movies coming out in December, I will read off our list.
Let's hear it.
We got 12 movies this month.
Let's hear it for November.
And surprisingly, the lowest rating, tied for last place, is with just a 5.
It's not bad.
Yeah, that's pretty good. We got
Frozen.
No. We got Last Christmas and Queen and Slim.
Nope.
Tied for 6th place with a score of 6 is 21 Bridges, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, Frozen 2, Harriet, and Terminator Dark Fate.
Fuck you.
In 5th place with a 7 is Klaus. In 4th place with a score of 7.8 is JoJo Rabbit.
Yes!
In 3rd place with a score of 8 is Dr. Sleep.
Go to sleep.
In 2nd place with a score of 8.3 is Knives Out.
Shing shing, baby.
And in 1st place with a score of 9 is Ford v Ferrari.
Woo!
I just realized I accidentally wrote The Irishman instead of Ford v Ferrari.
What's the difference?
I think we were talking about The Irishman when and that's amazing. And so that makes Knives Out one of the highest rated movies that all three of us have seen.
Hell yes.
So
deservedly so.
It did not beat Parasite, but still really good. I think it's tied with The Lighthouse for the second best movie of the year that all three of us have seen. So,
Right,
Paul.
Yeah, I just saw one of the release dates for one of the movies I wanted to see. It was
What movie?
Ooh.
1917. But anyway,
we'll go. I know it's in fucking January.
No, it's oh, is it in January?
Yeah, well, it's like New York and LA.
Oh, that's
Day.
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
That makes me even more mad.
Hate that crap.
what are we expecting this next month of December?
Playmobil the movie.
Playmobil.
Waves will be
Playmobil?
out this month. I'll say
Yes.
that. So we'll
Oh,
be
yeah,
reviewing that next.
Hopefully, I mean, is it coming out?
Yeah, it starts playing in Oklahoma City Thursday. So thank God.
Good.
Playmobil, no.
No.
The Aeronauts.
Oh, that's the Eddie Redmayne.
That's the Eddie Redmayne
Felicity
Felicity.
Jones.
I've
seen like no advertising for it.
I
haven't seen anything.
I don't have any.
Oh,
interest
yes, I
really.
have.
I saw
Yes,
one
I have.
trailer, and it looks good to me, but
I don't know.
I just don't know if I'm going to sit down and watch.
We'll see.
we'll find out.
We'll see. Yeah.
A Million Little Pieces.
I don't
Don't really know
is.
that
Billy
one.
Bob Thornton, anyone?
No.
Daniel isn't real.
Oh boy.
I wonder what the twist of that movie's gonna be.
He is real.
He is real. The Jumanji: The Next Level.
No.
Yeah.
No. I didn't see the first one, so
I really like the first one, but
The fucking trailers for this are garbage.
yeah, the second one. I mean,
Ooh
yeah.
boy.
and Jumanji.
No.
Black Christmas.
Oh my god, that looks rough.
All that movie is doing is making me want to go back and watch the first one.
Ho ho ho, bitch. I do like that line.
Then we got Six Underground.
Oh, that's the Michael Bay, Ryan Reynolds Netflix movie.
I'm good.
Six Underground. Is that just
You're
a
right.
musical Six, but it takes place underground?
I don't think so.
That would be something. Bombshell. Which we saw.
I don't know if I would.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, if you saw Knives Out in an AMC theater, did the trailer for Bombshell play twice? Because it did at our
It
theater.
was really weird.
And Paul and I saw it on separate occasions, and it still did it twice.
It was really bizarre.
Do we want to see that?
Then
Or?
we got.
I may see it.
I don't know.
Maybe. I don't.
I mainly want to see it because of the
think
cast.
I think I was reading up on it, and the case wasn't like closed yet. That might not be true.
Okay.
Don't take my word for that. Which I don't. If that is the case, I think that's kind of a little,
Yeah,
not
I know.
very
Yeah,
good.
I know what
Like,
you're saying.
yeah. I don't know. I usually, for me, I would wait until something is blown over.
Yeah.
If I want to get all the facts right. But,
True.
I mean, I'm not saying anything about the situation. I don't know really much about the situation. That's all I know, though.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to get.
Yeah.
I don't want to get got for it. I'm not trying to.
Your career's over, Paul.
My career's done.
You're done, dude.
And then we got Richard Jewell.
I know.
There's a bomb in
Centennial
Centennial
Park.
Park.
You have 30 minutes. Do a couple in a row.
What was it that you just said, Cameron? There's a bomb in my asshole.
There's the bomb in my ass. You have 30 minutes. So we got Uncut Gems.
Yes.
We'll see. I don't know.
I want to see it.
It doesn't look that good to me. But
It got nominated for a bunch of Spirit Awards, though.
It's by the same people who make Good Time, and that's what's keeping me
I've seen
excited.
Good
So
Time.
Mwah. Good time is so good.
we got Seberg. Seberg?
Seberg? Oh, the
What's
Kristen
that
Stewart,
again?
Gene
Yes.
Seberg.
Jack O'Connell.
I don't know.
Not
Apparently,
great
it's not
quality.
that good.
Zazie Beetz.
Has a 44%.
A Hidden Life.
Oh,
It looks really boring, but it looks beautiful.
yeah,
It looks
it
well
looks very
shot,
beautiful.
but I don't know.
Well, it's weird. Is it like all in one? Is it kind of like a Birdman situation? Because I noticed like in the trailer, like all of it was shot on the same lens.
I noticed that too.
It was like all like
I don't think it's all one take, but
it was like one lens. It was like a really wide lens,
it's
which is
really wide.
which is why I noticed it. It was like
Yeah.
it was like a 24. It was weird. It was like
I don't really want to see it.
it looks really pretty though.
Yeah, I may see just because it
I
looks
think
real pretty.
It looks really boring to me, but
Star Wars: Rise of Skywalker.
yep, we got to do it.
Oh, I forgot that's coming out.
I know it's the first time that I'm like, I just don't really care.
Yeah.
I got to see what happens.
I'm really
I
sad.
just need to know.
Yeah, I'm really sad. It makes me really upset. Anyway, Cats.
The movie event of the year.
Yeah.
I cannot wait.
This Christmas season.
You will believe that CGI cats maybe should have not been done.
Oh, I'm so ready for Cats.
I can't wait.
I don't know how they're gonna make it into a cohesive story.
Watch it turn out to be the best film of the year. Watch it get nominated for Best Picture.
Maybe Spies in Disguise.
No.
I'm ready for it.
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
excited.
I don't know.
Little Women.
Yes, Greta.
Little Women.
Joe.
Well, 1917, but not really.
Oh, I'm so
Yeah.
excited for
So
1917.
excited! I want to see it
excited.
so bad.
I do
It looks
too.
It looks so good,
It's
and I love Sam Mendes so much.
Yeah.
He made American
Skyfall's-
Beauty, which is
Skyfall's
I'm American Beauty.
Well, that's
You're
completely
Skyfall.
fine, but I fucking love.
Skyfall.
I've yet to see American Beauty like all the way through.
Man.
It's okay.
Skyfall.
I fucking love Skyfall. Holy
Spectre,
shit.
fuck off, but
Spectre can fuck. Wait, did he do that one?
yeah.
Too? Oh, that's a mistake. But
Skyfall, is awesome.
so
Yes.
good. Yeah. Just Mercy. What was that one again?
Oh, that when people don't like things, they'll stop them.
Yeah.
Michael B. Jordan.
Tim Blake Nelson.
I'm a racist, can't you tell? I don't know.
And then
Oscar bait the movie.
Clemency.
Oh, it's the Alfred.
That's the Alfred Woodard movie.
I haven't heard
I don't
anything
know
about it
anything
except
about
that
it.
she's predicted to get nominated for Best Actress, and I'm like,
Wow.
okay,
Cool. Yeah.
And that's it for this month. So not.
Man, December's got a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, not a lot that I want to see, but I just want to see. I want 1917.
I do too.
Please,
so bad.
please.
Be great Christmas, a great Christmas flick.
It really would.
It would be.
I'm going home to see my maker.
I'm going hunting.
All right.
Okay, we should wrap this up.
Yeah. So, Cam, where can we find you?
Find me on the gram at KimmyRay15.
Josh, where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Letterboxd, and Twitter, josh.elliot. That's ELIOT.
Well, you can find us at the Film Nerds on Instagram. And Paul, where can we find you? Well, you can find me at Leof Garringford. LEOFGARRYINGFORD. That's LEOFGARRYINGFORD.
For the low price of $19.99.
LEOFGARRYINGFORD.
Yes.
Alright, and that's it. Toodaloo.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. We love you guys.